best, because that's what makes London so great. That's what makes it the best city in the world. And we're going to go out and enjoy it more. And I'm more determined than ever to love the city that looks after me. And the emergency services were just phenomenal. Like, they were there within seconds. They kept us safe. They swept the place. And then two things really stuck with me. One, when we were leaving, the police were our eyes and ears as we're trying to avoid...
Welcome back. We'll have the press preview in just a moment, but I just want to bring you some breaking news. Police are saying that they're dealing with an incident on London's London Bridge. You can see the location of that crossing the Thames there. The first hint that we had that there was something happening there was a report from the managing editor of the political magazine The Spectator. In fact, he was suggesting that there were armed police attending that particular incident. We've also had confirmation from London Transport, the organisation that deals with the tube, the tube network in London. They say that London Bridge Station itself has been closed at the request of the police. The very latest that we're hearing, actually coming from a reporter for the Reuters news agency. He is presently near London Bridge and has seen around 10 police cars, by his estimate, heading to the bridge itself. So very little information at the moment. Clearly something is happening on London Bridge. The bridge itself has been closed. London Bridge Station has been closed at the request of the police. And according to the managing editor of The Spectator magazine, there have been armed police attending that incident there. We can speak to our Home Affairs correspondent, Mark White, in just a moment. But yeah, British police say that they are dealing with something happening on the bridge. I believe we can, in fact, speak to Mark White now. Mark, what can you tell us?
It is a serious incident that is unfolding on London Bridge, Neil. Scotland Yard currently responding with armed police. All emergency service personnel are at the scene. We have reports of a number of injured at this stage. Now, initial reports are fairly sketchy, but say that there was a vehicle involved that appears to have run people down. There is also reports coming through of a potential for a knife attack as well. But of course, in Berlin at Christmas, a traffic light off, that they have all of the resources in place to deal with a major and unfolding incident, and that's certainly from the first reports that we've been getting would seem to be what we're seeing here. We're hearing reports of quite a number of injuries on London Bridge itself, caused, we believe, by a van. As I say, Neil, there is that picture that's now beginning to circulate of a white van that's off the road just beside a traffic light onto the pavement that looks as though it's certainly crashed up onto that pavement.
Mark, given that all of these extra resources will be made available to the Metropolitan Police, obviously we can't delve into the specifics or the operational specifics, but clearly the Met Police will have been planning for an incident such as this. What do you know about how they intend to respond to what, on the face of it at least, appears to be a similar incident to that which took place in Parliament Square?
Well, sadly, they are very well versed in responding to these incidents. Of course, we had the Westminster attack, which happened before the current general election campaign that we are in at the moment. But even after that campaign was called, there were another two incidents in central London. One, a young man who was stopped with a rucksack full of knives, who's now been charged and facing a criminal trial on terrorist charges. And then another incident in North London where police raided a house and shot a woman, a suspect, in a terrorist plot there. That woman has since recovered from her injuries and been charged with a terror offence. So the police know, of course, that the fact that we are on a severe terror threat level means that incidents can unfold at any time, and around not just the UK, but around Europe in particular, we've seen many incidents. So they are well versed. They've carried out many exercises to prepare for this type of incident, and of course they've had to deal with it for real with the Westminster terrorist attack, and there were certainly valuable lessons learned there in terms of staging their emergency service personnel, in bringing forward armed response officers to deal with these incidents, and that's why we are seeing constantly now an uptake in the number of armed police that are available to respond to these kinds of incidents. And you see them in the shot that we're running on a loop there of those armed response vehicles all arriving en masse now at London Bridge to deal with this incident. What we don't know, of course, if it is terrorist related or even if it is a deliberate criminal act and not terrorist related, whether the person that was driving that van has been apprehended or is still at large. And of course, we don't know whether there were any other people in that van, whether it was just one person. These bits and snippets of information, of course, will start to come out as the hours go ahead and we start speaking to eyewitnesses and the police in more detail.
Mark, we'll just pause there as we show our viewers the latest pictures, people moving away from London Bridge, and we'll just update people who may well be just tuning in as to that which we know and that which we are uncertain of. First of all, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, the Metropolitan Police, as we see people clearly moving at some speed away from London Bridge. We know that there has been an incident, as the Metropolitan Police are describing it, at London Bridge. The bridge itself has been closed at their request. London Bridge tube station has been closed, and now we enter into the single source reports and reports from people other than news organisations. There have been a suggestion of a number of injuries on London Bridge as a result of an incident involving a vehicle. As Mark was saying a moment ago, there have also been reports from people in and around London Bridge, nothing that has been confirmed as yet, of a knife attack that followed that vehicle, injuring people on the bridge itself. We do know that police are there in numbers. We do know that other emergency services are there in numbers. Mark, having looked at these pictures with us, also saying that there are a number of armed response vehicles in the area, and also that the Metropolitan Police are in the process of labelling this a major incident. Let's just bring Mark back in once again. And Mark, you identified several of these vehicles in the pictures that we were seeing just a moment ago as armed response, but that does not necessarily mean, of course, that this is a terrorist attack.
No, but all the information that we're seeing and hearing does point in that direction. The information that is coming through, certainly from Scotland Yard, is that they are prepared to describe this as a major incident, declare it as a major incident, and the fact that you've got armed response vehicles turning up there in significant numbers tells you that that threat is uppermost in their mind. That is what they believe this may well be. There are reports now, numerous reports, that it wasn't just the number of pedestrians that were knocked over by this van that careered across London Bridge, but also that there may have been a knife attack after that van came to a halt. No real word on the number of people who have been injured, except to say multiple injuries, and reports that we're seeing now emerging through the usual channels such as social media, talking about quite a number of people lying on that bridge and being treated by members of the public and the emergency services who are arriving on the scene, carrying out this triage work that they do to evaluate who the most seriously injured are before dealing with them, getting them off to hospital.
Mark, we'll be back to you in just a second. I want to bring in Caroline Grenier, who was in London Bridge Station when it was evacuated. Caroline, thanks very much for speaking to us. Just tell us how events unfolded for you. Caroline, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, Caroline. You were in London Bridge Station when the tannoy, I presume, said to leave immediately. Describe what's happened to you this evening.
So I just was walking out of the London Bridge Station, and I was walking to catch the bus. There were police officers in the street. Some of them were coming by car, other ones were running. Then we just, like, the traffic was stopped, the buses were stopped. We just saw police officer just running, and there was one guy telling them to go in this or this direction, but I don't know exactly where they were going. And then this specific guy wearing a white shirt just left down, I think it's Solid Street. Then the area was evacuated, so I went to the London Bridge station, and 5 minutes after that, the station was evacuated. So everybody's coming out of the station, and now the police are began to move down the street, and there's still people walking in the street, but like most of the people have they left.
But in terms of people who are in and around London Bridge, it appears from the pictures that we're looking at the moment that they are being directed out of the area by the police.
Well, the police just asked people to move, and they did, and they moved just quietly, and everybody left.
And in terms of when the station itself was evacuated, how was that announcement made? Was that by someone coming live over the tannoy? Was this one of the messages that they had pre-recorded? I'm just trying to get to grips with what you were told when you were told to leave the station.
I wasn't inside the station at the moment. I was outside the station. I just saw people coming out of the station. So everybody was coming out, and like a few minutes after that, they just told us to leave the street, so we went down the street a little bit. But I wasn't inside the tube station when they asked people to leave.
And of course, this being a Saturday night in London, one presumes there are quite a lot of people on the streets at this time.
Yes, there is. There were like a lot of people coming out of the station. Most of them are gone now. The street looks pretty empty for us of the night, but there's still people walking by. So you can't go up the street. You can't access the area.
And how have people been reacting? You will have seen many faces moving past you this evening as events on London Bridge have unfolded. Have people been responding with panic, with fear, with uncertainty?
Well, the people coming out of the station, they moved like pretty quietly, calmly. There was no panic, but I saw people running from near the scene of the incident. They were just running down the street, so I saw a few people running, but mainly it was quiet. But the police officers were kind of shouting at us to leave, so people I think they didn't want to panic or anything, and they just left.
Caroline, well, many thanks for speaking to us, and we hope that you get home safe and sound shortly. Let's again speak to our Home Affairs correspondent, Mark White. Mark, very latest that we have from the police in London is that there are, in their words, multiple resources attending the incident at London Bridge. They have asked people to avoid the area. We're still unclear as we look at live pictures of London Bridge. In fact, I'm just having a look there to see the police appear to be. No, in fact, they're just police exiting the van there. That is what the Metropolitan Police would say for any major incident in the centre of London, but any minor incident that causes London Bridge to be closed as well.
Yes, that's right. I mean, you can see from the live shots what we're seeing are normal uniformed and plainclothes police officers who are arriving on scene there. I mean, those plainclothes officers, they could be counter-terror command, but that would just be speculation at this stage. But certainly the reports that we're getting suggest that this may be terror-related, but that is not being confirmed by the police at this stage. However, it is being declared a major incident. There are reports from one source that has been speaking to me that there may be another incident or a related incident nearby at the Shard, but of course the Shard isn't too far from London Bridge. These things can sometimes spill over. It might be people running away from London Bridge and being mistaken for another incident that's unfolding at the Shard. I think it's always important in the early stages, Neil, of these incidents, just to put out these caveats that information comes through of sometimes, multiple incidents, multiple attackers, and in the cold light of day, once we get the full facts in there, it turns out often to be one incident and one attacker. But at this stage, it is certainly a very serious incident. We are talking about multiple injured people on London Bridge itself. Some, we're told, are very seriously injured and are being treated and triaged now by members of the emergency services. London Ambulance Service have confirmed that they are sending significant resources to that scene, but they have no more information at the moment. The British Transport Police say that London Bridge Station is currently closed while officers are responding to the incident, and they are understandably telling people to avoid the area. You can hear, of course, on our live shots there, the police shouting at people to get away from the scene. Again, this is just part and parcel of what they do in terms of just creating a sterile cordon, getting people out of danger. I'll just pause for a second, let you listen to that. Our camera, as well as members of the public, can push back. When the police get significant resources in at the scene of an incident, they are then able to sort of push their cordon a bit further back, ensure that people are out of harm's way, and that's what they're doing at the moment. You've got lots of people in that area, out and about, in the pubs and clubs of that area of London. It's a very popular area, of course, with people who want to enjoy a normal Saturday night out. London Bridge itself would have been very busy with pedestrians at this time of night. And as you see, more emergency services now arriving on scene. At this early stage, you're having plainclothes officers there who are having to act as those safety officers shepherding people back to a safe location to ensure that they are away from the danger.